Welcome to the Decompression Chamber. I am Andrea, your humble host, and joining me this week is my old, I guess you'd say mentor, but also boss uh, from the University of Utah Veteran Support Center, Roger Perkins. How you doing today, Roger?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for
Uh,
coming on.
My pleasure.
All right, so we'll kind of start from the beginning. As you know, it's a discussion regarding military service, but of course, it's not just the during; it's the before and after that I'm interested in as well. So, where did you grow up? What was your childhood like?
Well, the grow up part is still in process,
That
but
never ends.
I went to I grew up in California in the Bay Area in the '60s.
All right.
I actually was I was in Haight Ashbury in '68 for the Summer of Love for 24 whole hours,
Wow.
and then I got hungry and I went home, got something to eat.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah, it was not as cool as people eat, but the music was great.
Yes.
But went in the army in 1970, right out of high school. Seemed like the thing to do. And I was 17, and what an education that was. I turned 18 on the night fire range in basic training at Fort Ord, and nobody
Wow.
cared.
Oh, of course not. Yeah.
Not at all. But I started out as a high speed Morse intercept operator,
Okay.
which meant I copied Morse code down, uh, different countries, different places,
Sure.
and sent that to the people that could read the code because it was all encrypted.
Oh, okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
so all you get is letters and numbers, not nearly as sexy. The fun stuff is before and after when the operators are talking. And if you want to know who's easy in Kamchatka, I can tell you because they talked about it.
Okay.
But did that for 7 years, got out, went to college, took a commission,
Okay.
went back in as commissioned infantry. I did that for a few years, got pulled back into Intel and got with Special Forces, did that for a while. It
Wow.
was kind of a mishmash, you know.
Yeah, definitely a varied career. Now, you said you went in 1970. I mean, backdrop of Vietnam still there, the draft still going on, and you just figured you
Absolutely.
would beat that?
I had high school friends that went to Vietnam,
Wow.
and I had a few that didn't come back.
My God.
So Vietnam was definitely still hot and heavy.
Yeah.
But you know as well as I do, that's you don't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
You can win with a lot of faith and a blank slate,
Hmm.
but that's part of the deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but it worked out for me, so I really can't complain.
Sure.
So
Sure.
at 21, got out in 1991, retired right after Desert Storm was over. We won. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's a good time to leave. So I got out before Clinton. That was good.
Yeah.
And got on the civilian side, and that was an adjustment.
Oh,
And
it always is.
oh man, it
Well,
is.
even though you had experience getting out as a civilian before going back to college, I mean that you were just out for that time to get your schooling done and get a
I went
commission, or
from
how did
one
that go?
regimental environment,
Hmm.
which was the military,
Yeah.
to another fairly regimented environment, which was education. You had to be to a certain place at a certain time
Yep.
and do a certain task, And man, a month after I graduated, I was right back in. So it
Wow.
really wasn't that hard transition. It was like a really long, very easy TDY or
Yeah.
TAD or you call them, yeah.
Yeah.
But I got into higher ed.
Hmm.
Taught geography at Utah State University for about 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
Go Aggies. Then yeah, whichever team I'm with at the time. I worked at Weber State. Wound up. That's how I got into the Veterans Center business there.
Okay.
Wound up getting. I worked for Western Governors University as a assistant. I was an assistant something, assistant dean. I think it was the title. It
Yeah.
changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
What I did was I organized teachers and classes.
Okay.
Then got up to the U, and you know all the junk I did there. Retired, and
Yeah.
here I am in all my glory.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I kind of you said Western Governors University. Now I know why you recommended them for online education for anyone who thought they wanted to
Yeah,
do
it.
that
I
through
was.
you.
It's not for
Yeah. Uh-oh. Am I losing you?
me there and do it on a competency student. But for those who can, it's great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I ran into that a lot too, either while working at the U or later on even with my VSO experience, where people think they want to matriculate into a 4-year university and do online classes, and it's like, oh no 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 no, you are not doing this
That's got its
correctly.
own special set of problems that people don't realize. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So so once you got your commission, now were you doing ROTC or was it
Yeah.
OCS? Okay. And like you say, you got your commission, you went right back. Did you have any selection as to what you'd be doing as an officer? Did you want to go
Oh, yeah.
intel or?
Well, you can always state your preference.
Yes, those are usually crumpled up and thrown away, but you know.
Yeah, and that's so cute. You know,
I'm not even looking.
and it's a Spec 4 that makes that call. That was really great. An E4, I'll get that guy. But yeah, you get the state of preference. You get three branches that you can go into, and believe it or not, I chose infantry
Wow.
because that is the basic level for leadership,
Hmm.
and leadership was something I always took an interest in. And
Okay.
I learned real well in that environment. I learned two real good things.
Yeah.
One is that everybody thinks infantrymen are dumb. You know,
Nope.
some of them are uneducated,
Right. Right.
but by and large, most of them are pretty doggone smart and they get things done.
Yeah.
The second thing was going without sleep or food really sucks.
Yes, it does.
You would think you would know that. No.
Yeah,
So
you do learn
yeah,
in case.
there I got to just like every other assignment you ever take, the system works the same.
Okay.
You ask where you want to go. They see what the needs of the service is. If they can, they honestly do try to place you. So,
Yeah.
but I tell you, the weirdest thing about being an officer was
What's
when
up?
I got there, I met a guy named John, and he was my buddy. We were in the same unit. We were platoon leaders together, and we went down to CIF, which is where they issue you all your Army gear,
Okay.
helmets and all this other junk, right? So we're going through this line, and they're giving me helmets and backpacks and web gear and all the accoutrements, And I'm noticing all of it's still in plastic. It's all new.
Wow.
And I know exactly. And John was not a prior enlisted guy,
Yeah.
so he thought this was normal. And I got in the line. I said, I like this. You guys are giving me all new stuff. And the guy in charge, little Spec 4 goes, well, you're an officer. And John goes, well, aren't we picking up new gear? I said, John, you never
Yeah.
get new gear. It
Never
was great.
happens.
That part of it was fantastic.
Yeah, you see the
It was so
benefits
awesome.
immediately.
Oh yeah. But if I picked up, I thought, what is wrong with this picture?
Now, how much? I'm sure. Well, and who knows how much percentage-wise it played into it. But what's your bachelor's degree in, and did that help at all?
History.
Okay, I should know this. I mean, I know that I've with my history teaching degree
Mm-hmm.
could have sworn.
But here's why I took history.
Hmm.
I knew I was going back in the service.
Yeah.
I knew that unless I was going to be a doctor or a lawyer, then my degree was irrelevant.
Okay.
So I took what I enjoyed, and I took history. And actually, like you, I got to teach it once I got out. So
Yeah.
that was a good thing. Taught Western civilization and U.S. history up to 1864.
Ah, the only histories that matter. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, that's all the fun stuff happened, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Exactly.
depression, that's depressing.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the samurai are great and all, but I'd rather read about the Middle Ages and
Oh yeah.
you know,
Oh, and while I was teaching, the Soviet Union fell, and
I
it was right at the time
isn't that wild?
that I hit the fall of the Roman Empire. So it was a great teaching point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
Thanks.
you were in Germany when the wall came down, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Wow. What was that like?
It was very bizarre.
I
I was
imagine.
a brigade. I was a brigade S2, which is the intelligence officer for a brigade, about 3,500 guys. We had about 600 tanks.
Hmm.
Had tank every brigade, two tank battalions, and infantry battalion. And our battle positions was right at the Czech border.
Okay.
And when this all went down, we were back at a training area.
Hmm.
And as luck would have it, that night, because there's nothing going on, we're all sitting around talking, shooting the crap. And one guy said, well, you've got I had a master's in international relations by that stage.
Hmm.
And one of my buddies said, well, you got your master's and all that stuff. When do you think the walls are going to come down. So I mustered up all my solid education. I said, well, there's a difference in power grids. There's a difference in rail gauge between East German railroads and West German railroads. East German railroads are smaller. And all this other stuff. So I don't think it'll be for at least 3 or 4 more years. And I went to bed, and a guy woke me up and said, hey, genius, you're completely full of shit. It's the walls going down right now. You need to be in this. Whoa, so it was amazing.
Crazy.
We uploaded, we had all of our ammunition with us because that's the way you did it back then.
Yeah.
We uploaded live ammunition, and we're rolling through Herman the German's farm fields trying to get to our combat position before anything went bad.
Right. Yeah. You just don't know what's going to happen.
They were taking down borders and barriers, and we knew we weren't going across. So.
Exactly. That wave is only coming one way. So.
Oh yeah. And we rolled for about an hour and a half. Did a tremendous amount of damage to German farms because we were spread all over their fields and stuff.
Yeah.
And we had to pay for that later.
Wow.
But a guy came up on the radio and said, hey, nothing's happening. Go home.
Unbelievable.
So, well, I know. And we went,
oh,
okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's the thing. It's the uncertainty. You have no idea.
There was no way in hell we could have stopped him. We could have hurt him.
Yeah.
We couldn't have stopped him.
Wow.
And that was the point, was to slow him down. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Glad that didn't go through. So it was kind of cool. I spent Thanksgiving that year in East Berlin.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, amazing. And you couldn't have possibly thought, just a couple months earlier that would be the case. No.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah, long after I get my orders out of here. And you were Major Perkins.
No credibility in that headquarters anymore. It was like.
Yeah. And I take it you were Major Perkins by that point.
No, I was still captain.
Oh, really?
I was still captain. I didn't make major. It took 12 years to make major.
Wow.
Back in those days. And I didn't make major till just before Desert Storm kicked off. And by that point, I was a G2 of Army Special Forces Command. So.
Okay. And what was your role with Special Forces? I mean, you're still working in intelligence at that time, but how did you interact with them?
Well, I started out when I was enlisted, and I was on a signals intelligence team. And what we would do is we would go there, all 3 of us would go behind enemy lines, and we'd collect on radios, different things. We'd do direction finding, and we'd send that back through burst transmission to another place, and they would play with it and get it out to the maneuver elements or the teams that need it. And had about a week that they thought we'd last, so yay team. When I became an officer, though, I was doing basic intelligence stuff. I was doing intelligence preparation for the battlefield. I was doing analysis, things like that, and kind of stayed with that right up through the end of my career. As a G2, of course, I took that job before Desert Storm kicked off. Actually, no, I did. Desert Storm kicked off, and then I got the job. That's right.
Okay.
But it was really, I put everything I'd ever learned in the military from an intelligence perspective to use in that job at that time. So it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we actually came out pretty good on it. So it was okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say a great effort by all. Now, what got the transition from you going from infantry back into an intelligence role, but as an officer this time?
There were a lot of things at that. There was a shortage of tactical intelligence officers at the time.
Okay.
And I'd already been an infantry officer. I had good numbers. They were going to send me to Germany and make me a mechanized infantry company commander. And I said, I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Well, and the guy told me, tough shit.
Yeah.
Like, yay, team.
Yeah.
So about that time, I got a call from MI branch where a friend of mine was working.
Mm-hmm.
In the Navy, they do assignments the same way. You have your MOS, and there's a guy up there, Mr. Wizard or Ms. Wizard, that sits there and figures out where you go.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with officers.
Yeah.
I just happened to know somebody that was there, and he had done the same thing I had done, but he'd gone back into intel.
Okay.
And he said, we're short tactical intelligence officers. We need somebody to go to the 5th Special Forces Group. You interested in that? I said, yeah, sure.
Did you know anything about it, or it's just it sounds good and it's not a mechanized?
Well, I didn't know what I was getting into from the intel side.
Oh, okay.
I knew what Special Forces did.
Sure.
I didn't realize how boring intelligence really was.
They didn't have you
You know,
jumping out of planes for this particular role.
Yeah,
Oh, they
every
did.
month.
Okay, so not all
You got
bad.
to maintain your proficiency. It's a
Okay,
skill, which
nice.
is why I'm hobbling around now.
Well,
But yeah, you jumped, you did all that stuff. I did deployments. I went to Egypt. I went to Syria, not Syria, Jordan.
wow.
Looked at Syria. I went to Israel. Things like that. So you did different things. Went to different places in Africa. Things like that. As both as part of the job and to support other people doing the job. So it was it
Of
was
course.
it was interesting as hell.
Oh, I bet. Now, mentioning that, how many countries would you say you've been to as a result of your military service?
What do you count? Yes, living there like forever, or just going there and doing something and leaving.
Doing something and leaving. Put it that way.
I counted them up. Now that you asked, about 2 months ago, I had a reunion with a bunch of guys,
Okay.
and it was 22,
22?
22 countries that I put boots on the ground, stayed for a period of time, and then came back out.
That's amazing. That's yeah, that's
It was a fun life. I'm
21
grateful.
more than the Navy sent sent me to, so
Well, that's all that water in the middle, That's
yeah.
where you work. We
That's
work but it was never a cool place. I never got to go to Jamaica,
right.
I never got to
Yeah,
go
that'd
to
be cool.
Austria,
Yeah.
shoot, Liechtenstein. Yeah, I got to go like to one jungle in Africa, and then a desert somewhere, and then a forest somewhere. They all sucked.
I imagine deserts were a very common theme late in your career, so
Pretty much, yeah.
as yeah, as they have been for our military for the past, 30 years or something.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, Desert Storm comes and goes. You got out right after that, or were you thinking about
It,
staying
it
in?
ended in, I want to say, March of 91, and I retired in November of 91.
Okay.
So I got time to welcome everybody back. But there were a lot of other things going on, though. People don't realize that. There was
Sure.
a coup attempt in the Philippines. There was
Wow.
the Tonton Mahaut, which was the bad guys in Haiti. They came back.
Yeah.
People had to deal with that. There were all kinds of things going on. So I was a busy boy.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, it was what made you decide you wanted to get out? Was it okay, I've hit 20 years, or what was your deciding factor?
When you go in,
Hmm.
the maximum amount of time you can do is 30 years
Sure.
without congressional approval.
Yep.
So senior NCOs and flag officers can get congressional approval longer. 30 years is all you're going to get. All
Hmm.
right. And you know that there is a certain amount of time you have that you have to hold rank.
Yes.
Time and grade, time of service, right? And there's no way I was going to make '06,
Yeah.
and there's no way probably I was going to make '05.
Wow.
And but that's okay. I knew that going in. I had 7 years enlisted out of that 30. So I really had a much shorter window. And I was very honest about that with myself when I went in.
Hmm.
But the real impetus was I told my kids that when they hit junior high, we wouldn't move anymore.
That's
And that just
enormously
happened to
important.
coincide right there. So we went to Logan, Utah, the cultural center of the United States, and, and lived there for my son's junior high and high school years.
Okay.
Then we moved to Ogden and lived there for my daughter's junior high and high school years.
Yeah.
Then we moved to Salt Lake, and it took us a few years to ask ourselves, why are we still here?
Yeah.
So when we retired, we moved back to North Carolina.
Awesome. Awesome.
But it was my kids that was the biggest impetus.
So, you mentioned, the transition, and this is the real one where, okay, no, I really do need to get a civilian job. I'm not going to be going back to school. Did you have a solid plan getting out? And if so, how long did it take you to come up with that?
I've been planning on it for a while. I'm a planner.
Yeah.
Okay, that's mostly when I get into jobs, even intel jobs, you have a plan, how to do things. And I was a pretty good planner. So I started working on this about 3 years to retirement. First question was,
Wow.
do I retire
Mm-hmm.
or not?
Yeah.
So once that decision was made, it's okay. Well, this is my PERT chart, and something the Army taught me, and I wanted to be a history teacher, a high school history teacher.
There you go.
Yeah. So, do we have time for a little story in
Of
this?
course, we've got plenty of time.
Okay. So I went ahead and we were in Utah, and then I was trying to find work. And I thought, well, this is doing well. So because Logan is not a big hotspot for employment.
Uh,
So I
who'd
went
have
and
thunk?
I thought, well, I'll go to school and use it for the rest of my GI Bill, get my teaching certificate.
Smart.
And I went in and I thought, well, what would be a good thing to look at, right?
Yeah.
So history, of course. And I had some prereqs. I had to do a geography class as a prereq.
Okay.
So I went in and I talked to the head of the department, which was a Brit guy
Okay.
who had, as luck would have it, had been a career intelligence officer in the British Army
Wow.
with ties to SAS.
Wow.
So I didn't find that out till later, but we were sitting there feeling each other out. He's talking about transfer of credits, right?
Uh huh.
And I'd say something, he'd go, "Oh," and
That.
then he'd say something, I go, "Hmm." And, then,
Yeah.
and after a while, I figured it out. So he called me up about an hour after I left. He says, "Hey, we've got a position open for somebody to catalog maps. Do you know anything about maps?"
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit,
I know how to not get lost during that land nav, so let's do
Yeah,
it.
well, I've lived off maps.
Sure.
So I said, sure, I can do that. He says, pay us some extra money when you go to school. I said, great. So he said,
Awesome.
okay, I'll call you back. About 20 minutes later, he called back and said, look, we also have an adjunct teaching position opening up
Wow.
to teach land navigation and our map reading. This is map interpretation. I
All
said,
right.
so what's map interpretation?
Yeah.
He goes, because he had the same background. He goes, it's land navigation. I said, piece of cake.
Yeah.
Let's do
No.
that.
No problem
Says,
at all.
okay, great. Yeah. So I'm thinking, wow, this is great. This is working out perfect.
Yeah. Right.
God meant for me to go to school and get this degree. This is great, right?
Yeah. That's
Then
what
he
I would
calls back
think.
and says, we have a position opening up for an instructor, which is a faculty rank,
Wow.
but you don't need a PhD. He said, to be full time, you wouldn't be able to go to school. Yeah. I said, yes.
Yeah. I'd
Yes.
much rather do that. Are you crazy?
Much
Yeah.
rather earn money. So I wound up teaching geography instead of going to school. Took
Wow.
me probably another 10 years to get my teacher's certificate. I got that at Weber State.
Oh, okay. Great.
That was the plan, and that job totally threw a wrench in it.
Well, hey,
And I was
talk
grateful.
about it's all about who you know, and the crazy part of it is you didn't really know this guy, just
No,
having
not at
that
all. It's
similar
all
backgrounds.
we picked a lot up on each other. You had
Well,
his
you're
like,
intelligence guys. I'm sure you're,
oh yeah, I can
look
either
at how he
confirm
sips
or
his
deny.
coffee or tea
You
if
know,
he's a
it's like
Brit.
when you meet another vet.
It
Yeah,
is. It
you
is
know.
absolutely true.
Yeah, you
So
got that link.
crazy.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like I tell everybody. I mean, uh, you get to talking to someone. I mean, I think a lot of people have in their minds when they think of a veteran, they think of someone who's infantry downrange, and I mean, definitely God bless those guys. But
Yeah,
there's a lot of people who served, a boiler technician 30 years ago in the Navy, and it's like, boom, we're going
that's
back and
right.
forth, throwing down terms and reminiscing, and two totally different eras that we served. But I mean, there's just so much in common right off the bat. It's
And
pretty
it's the same
incredible.
thing with foreign guys too.
Yeah.
I played pickleball, and a guy is visiting right now, and he's playing with us, and he retired out of the Indian Army.
Go figure. Wow.
Bing. I mean,
Yeah.
we play so well together as a team.
Mhm.
Just instinct. I know where he's going to be, and we don't know how this works. We talked about it, but we know.
Yeah.
It's very weird,
Yeah.
and we're
But
kicking ass.
gonna take over the world. Got or
Well, not
at least the
today.
pickleball
I'd just be
court.
happy if
Yeah.
my wife lets me stay down here tonight.
Yeah.
Shoot. But so
That's
that's who the plan out. I got to it eventually, but I wound up working in administration more than anything else. So
okay. So but I mean, you had that teaching job, and then from there, I mean, you kept teaching. You kind of stayed in the academic realm,
I stayed in the academic room most. I had yeah, I'd teach or stay in there until I got tired of being poor.
of
Then
course.
I'd go out and be a project manager somewhere for a couple of years, and I'd come back in and be poor again.
Yeah.
But it worked out real well. It worked out really well. And I'll lay this out for those people that of your listeners that are thinking about retirement and looking at that. There's three things you want to achieve
Hmm.
when you retire. You want to get money,
Yep.
you want to get job satisfaction, and you want to be in a good place
Yep.
physically, geographically.
Hmm.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
This is true.
So if you can get 3, that's a good thing.
Yep.
But keep in mind that 2 of those are fairly satisfying. You can't do it just for money.
No, you
I
really can't.
No, it'll suck your soul. I know several guys that have done that, and it never works out. Do it for money and a good location. Do
Yeah.
it for money and a great job, you know?
Yeah.
But just the money alone is that never works. I was stunned.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
disappointed that was,
it's one thing if it's like your first job and you're at least gaining valuable experience out of it, you know, hey, this position's got a shelf life. I'm going to be on to something else. But yeah, for just money, oh, no. Not
Gotta have
never
something.
worth it.
Beer costs, gas costs.
It
You
sure
gotta have
does.
something, but it can't be your primary motivation.
No.
You
No.
really can't. As much as you might want it to be.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
there's easier ways of making money, I'm sure. And so I've been told. I don't know. I haven't figured it
Yeah.
out yet.
Let me know how that works. Wait.
So, how did you make the switch? Teaching and project management, you're bouncing back and forth between those. But then you said you got into administration. Of course, I
And
met
you
you.
just froze up.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Damn. Damn technology. But you teaching project management. You worked your way into administration, and then of course I met you like through support, veteran services. How did you make the transitions through there? Was it just a matter of job opening at another school, or how did
Well,
you
I've done it before at
navigate?
Weber State.
Mm-hmm.
And it was interesting. They had a guy in there that was a complete slug and got fired.
Ah,
They
that's hard to
hired
get
me.
fired from academia.
Oh,
Holy
he was
Santa
such
Claus
a
shit.
jerk. And he wrecked all the files. I had essentially, who was the kind of geeky guy that was the musician that did the GI Bill?
James.
James. I
James
kind of had James
Bartek. Yeah.
at James' job, and I ran all the GI Bill guys for Weber State,
Okay.
and I knew that much about the GI Bill. You
Yeah,
know
and it's only that knowledge came from you using your own or trying
exactly,
to. Yeah.
which wasn't even around anymore. It was all Montgomery stuff, and that was different. But it's like everything else. I learned it. I got a good crew in. I had an excellent crew.
Good.
Uh, they taught me what they knew, and we essentially rebuilt the program.
Wow.
And then when I went to USU, I brought all that knowledge and ability with me.
Hmm.
That convinced them that I would be a good candidate. So,
Awesome. Awesome.
and there I was.
Well, yeah, the Veteran Support Center when I got to Utah, kind of draw a picture. It was fall of 2013, and it was just like a closet, basically.
Oh God, the one with the different colored tile.
Yeah, it was so
Oh, that
tiny,
was hideous.
but uh, but I remember getting a form email from you. I'm sure it
Uh,
was the work study putting emails in the BCC line or whatever. But I thought, okay, well, free coffee. I'll check it out.
I knew
And
that'd be a draw. Yeah.
yeah, it never can underestimate that free coffee as a college student. What a
No,
deal! And it just I got lulled into just a networking opportunity every time I stepped in there, and then you guys moved upstairs to the nice big space where I guess they
the
still are.
cork room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it totally sweet. A little couple
I pissed off
computers.
so many people
Good,
when we got that room.
good.
I mean, literally everybody in the union was mad. The only one that wasn't mad was me and the president of the university, who's the guy that worked it for me.
Wow. No, that is one hell of a legacy because that
Oh
place is
yeah,
just awesome.
it
Um,
is.
I haven't see. I went there. I was last there about a year ago. I went by for a visit, and I mean, it still just looks incredible. Great flow to the place. They're still doing a
Well,
lot of good.
Paul is left.
Yes, I've spoken with Paul. He's in Tennessee these days.
Yeah,
Um,
and they hired a guy from housing who is a veteran.
okay,
That was my
fantastic.
biggest fear. They don't understand the need to have somebody from the clan
Yeah,
in that, you know.
yeah,
But
and
they did good.
yeah, and certainly placing that veteran requirement does narrow the talent pool, but it's like, well, then
Yeah.
it should just make it easier. Whoever does emerge, that's the guy.
Yeah, you know all the acronyms.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cussing doesn't bother you.
Yeah, that's a biggie too.
Yeah, I
Um,
heard about that a lot.
yeah, I left the Veteran Support Center, came out here to New York, and ended up at a veteran service organization, which, while it supports veterans, it's more of a corporate America vibe to it.
Yeah,
It doesn't make it a bad thing by any means. But yeah, I
that's how
really had to
normal
police my
people live.
language.
You know,
Yeah.
that's how normal people live. That's what I tell myself. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And now I work for a podcasting company where I sexually assaulted my boss for a bit, and it was like, bravo, well done. Yeah.
9-4, 9-3. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely a different work environment. But I have to say, being a veteran certainly helped to prepare me. And yeah,
In ways you never suspected.
exactly. But
Yeah.
awesome. So what made you and your wife choose North Carolina for retirement?
Well, Fort Bragg is
Okay.
the home of special operations.
Yes.
There were 2, 3 special forces group there. The 82nd Airborne Division is there. Matter of fact, that's the first place I went when I came back from overseas
Hmm.
was to Fort Bragg to the 82nd.
Wow.
And another war story. I
Of
was
course.
walking down the street dragging a duffel bag trying to find the unit I was supposed to go to. And there was a guy on a riding lawnmower with a T-shirt on, no hat, and he's mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
I said, stopped him, I said, "Hey, bud, do you know where such and such a battalion is?" He goes, stops, he goes, "Wait right there." And he gets under the thing, he puts on his shirt, puts on his beret, and he was a sergeant major in 5th Special Forces Group. And he
Holy
said, "Who
cow.
are you calling Bud?"
Oh crap.
Uh, well, I'm going to die now.
Yeah.
But he was very good about it. It was kind of funny,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's for those who don't know, he was at the highest enlisted rank you could be, and I was just 4 up from the bottom, you know.
Jeez.
And one thing I took away from that was if they've got sergeants major mowing lawns, I do not want to go to special forces because I can't imagine what they'd have an E4 doing.
Oh yeah.
Don't want to do that.
Yeah. No,
But
thank you.
that's another one of those plans that went right down the crapper, but that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
probably just as well.
Wasn't as
And
bad as I thought, but actually, I cleaned back the last official function I performed as a major was to clean a latrine,
wow.
and I did it with a sergeant major. You
Who?
know why?
No,
Because it needed to be done.
fantastic.
So
I
there we, you know,
I think that's a great attitude too, just not to be above
yeah,
anything.
they were good guys to work with, and I found that by and large, you meet as you know, your fair share of people that are oxygen bandits when you're in the military.
Oh
But
yes.
99% of them are pretty solid people that you can trust.
Yeah.
And it was usually, even in the worst times imaginable, a fairly productive and positive experience. Even when it was really, really bad,
Hmm.
everybody was still, working towards whatever the goal was. And that stays with me a lot.
Yeah.
I miss that's everybody misses,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it ain't out here.
It
Yeah.
really isn't in civilian life, but
Yeah.
yeah. Now, is there anything, looking back on your experience, is there anything you would have done differently? Sounds like you're glad you didn't go into special forces, but maybe something else that would have been fun.
You know, like I said, I'm going to be 70 years old in July.
Woohoo!
And I know where did this come from?
Which
I
makes you
think
69 now.
I
Nice.
well, I don't want to say that. But yes, I am 69.
Fantastic.
But one of the things that you do as you go through there is you sit back and you ask yourself, was this all worth it?
Yeah,
You take the shit with the sugar. That's part of the deal.
sure.
But was this all worth it? And what I found out by going over this, because I'm retired, I have nothing better to do with my time, is that for everything
Hmm.
you change something else,
Exactly.
you know? And I'm at a pretty good spot right now. I was at a pretty good spot at the Veteran Support Center.
Yeah.
I was generally in pretty good spots in the military. Good people around me, people that loved me and supported me and watched out for me.
For
I don't
sure.
want to change any of that.
Yeah.
You know, I would not mind doing it again,
Really.
but I wouldn't change anything. Oh hell yeah!
Yeah.
But I want to remember what I know now. So
Yeah, yeah, make it easier for
that
the
makes it a
second.
lot easier. Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, I wouldn't change a thing.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, wouldn't change
Fantastic. And it sounds like you're enjoying yourself out in North Carolina. We were talking earlier about you've been out there, what, almost six
We
years
actually
now?
have been here for 12 years all total. I was stationed here once as an enlisted guy, twice as an officer, plus I went to college out here for my undergrad.
Wow.
Just down the street from where I live at Campbell College, the home of the Fighting Camels.
All
Hump, hump.
right. Woohoo.
Yeah, I got thrown out of a basketball game for doing that because it was a
Ah,
Baptist school and they thought hump, hump, hump was dirty.
no, you're talking about the, what is it, the Bactrian camel? They got two humps?
Absolutely. Two humps are always better than one hump.
Yes.
you know.
Yeah,
But we
that's
tried to
awesome.
explain that to the faculty member, myself and my buddy George. And he wouldn't believe it. So we went to his house and drank bourbon all night long. So
Ah, well, nothing wrong with that.
they caught us doing that too.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of look down
This is
on alcohol consumption there.
oh,
Just
it
a
was
bit.
no, you weren't supposed to have any alcohol within 25 miles of campus.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it's not just a religious. You said Baptist school. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not anymore.
Yeah.
But it was they tended to turn a blind eye to the veterans. We had to go in for chapel every Wednesday.
Oh boy.
All right. So they send you the auditorium. Everybody went in.
On hump
And
day. I mean, of all days.
oh yeah. They sent you in on Wednesday and you sit down for chapel. And the first time we went in, they had this lady at the door and she'd look at us because we were obviously older than everybody else.
Sure.
And they say, "Are you a veteran?" I'd say, well, "Yes, I am." She goes, "Okay, you can go upstairs." So we went upstairs and we're sitting there. What it was is they knew we were going to sleep.
Yeah.
So they separated us out from the other students so we wouldn't contaminate the youngsters. And they just left us alone up here. After about 20 minutes, the guy came up, explained out to us, says, "We're going to leave you guys alone up here. Just don't make a lot of noise. And we'll come and wake you up when the sermon's over." So it's like, cool,
Wow.
what a great school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it worked out well for us.
I mean,
So,
they should have, since especially since you're going through ROTC, should have kept you awake so you'd be ready for PowerPoint presentations.
didn't have PowerPoint back then. Didn't
Well, I'm
have
sure
to.
there was some other sleep-inducing presentation you had to sit through,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you were in intelligence. My
Not
God.
if you're giving us all flip charts.
Ah,
Flip
wow.
charts and little plastic things you put over a overhead projector.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't even
yeah.
have a cell phone until I got back to the States from Germany in 91. Didn't have them.
Yeah, well,
I'm
yeah.
old. I am old, Andrea. Or as I like to say, experienced.
I saw someone with a Tamagotchi the other day, and just I haven't seen
Yeah,
one in 25 years. But yeah, that's funny. Like the old technology, you don't really think about it because you're just so used to the newest, latest, greatest thing.
I'll tell you how it is. I went through grad school without Google.
How do you do it?
Uh, I don't know. I had four brain cells that I was not using at the time because I was working and going to grad school.
Oh God.
you know. And I was completely. I'd watch TV shows for the hour a week I had off,
Hmm.
and for the life of me, could not remember what the show was about.
I
And
yeah.
it was scary. I was going to go ask a doctor if that was normal. But
I, it kind of is. I would
yeah,
do that a lot of times on the train coming home from work. Living out here when work tempo is especially high and stressful. And it's like I'd listen to a podcast. It just turned my brain off. Just
yeah, exactly.
which is always a good idea on a
Long
stabby subway
term, you're
train
going
to
to turn
turn
it
your
off.
brain off and not be
Yeah, you
aware.
got to turn it on though when you're done. That's
Yes.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very important. But awesome. Well, do you have any words of advice for anyone? You had some words of advice for someone looking to retire, but anyone looking to go into the military, any words of wisdom like don't do it or get a time
No,
machine?
actually, no. There. Do you remember Joseph, that
Uh,
little Korean, 17-year-old Korean kid that was hanging around the vet center all the time because he liked U.S. military?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is Fort Bragg right now, going through special forces school.
Wow, good
I
for
was
him.
no kidding. You
That's
know,
amazing.
I would tell anybody nowadays who's thinking about going in the military to sit down and talk to somebody like you that can tell them what the military is really like. Don't
Yeah.
ask them about the high speed, low drag stuff.
Yeah.
Because this is what I did when I thought of becoming an officer. It wasn't an automatic thing. I wanted to make sure it was the right move.
Yeah.
And I would ask people, "What's your day like? When do you get up? What do you do? What do
Yeah.
you do after that? What do you do after that? When do you get to go home?" You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
ask them stuff like that. What your everyday life is like.
Yeah.
So you know what it really is.
Sure.
And they'll generally tell you the truth.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
and then then you'll say, the person with no experience in the military, that sounds great. And the veteran will say, no, no, no,
Yeah.
let me explain to you.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, it's I think we mentioned this before the show started. It's like changing high schools.
Yes.
When you're at that age, you walk into this high school, you don't know anybody, you don't
Mhm.
know where your locker's at, you can't remember your combination, you generally aren't going to remember your schedule,
Nope.
or where the classrooms are, or who the good teachers are,
Yeah.
or where you can eat lunch, or who the bad crowd is. You don't know any of that stuff when you
Yeah.
go in the military. They'll use words that you don't understand.
Yeah.
They'll use swear words that, for me, I had never heard before. Pretty sure it was physically impossible to do, but I wasn't sure. I was 17.
Yeah. Still learning.
Uh, you'll do things you never thought you could do, and some of them are going to
Yes.
hurt,
Mhm.
you know, but you're going into a grown up world,
That's
and
right.
no one's going to let you adjust to it. You're either in it or you're not. So just go in with reasonable expectations, and understand it's going to take you 2 years before you figure anything out,
Yeah. Yep.
or in my case, 4 years. So, you
Ah,
know,
well.
as a slow learner.
You were on the accelerated program.
Oh God, it took me so long, but it was mostly fun.
Yeah, well, that's what they told me. Oh, after your first enlistment, you should re-enlist because you only are really figuring stuff out. And it's like, well, I figured it out, and I don't like it, so
Oh yeah. Well,
I'm
no, and
out.
that's fine.
But
We've still done more
yeah,
than 93% of the rest of the country did.
sure. No, I don't regret it by any means, but certainly for me, there was that nagging feeling of, oh, I'm not where I'm supposed to be right
You
now.
should move on having done your duty and done it well.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
That's the deal.
definitely.
It's not supposed to suck your soul. I got out at 21 because, frankly, I was doing pretty well and I enjoyed what I was doing, and it felt right.
Yeah,
And getting out at 21 felt right. By the way, for your listeners, that's 21 years service, not 21 years old.
yeah, yeah.
Or,
Yeah,
but
you
getting
were what, 24 when you got out to go back to college?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I was so I was 24 when I went to college,
Hmm.
and then I was 38, 39 when I retired.
Young man.
So
Yeah.
life's a trip.
I if I played my cards a little bit better, I stay in another year or two. I could be retiring, but as it stands, my enlistment is up in 29 hours. So,
And thank you for a job well done.
as I hit my
one
microphone,
one bit of advice: don't throw all your stuff away right away.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I
I
did.
earned it.
Did
I'm
the
going to
same.
keep it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I tell you, those steel jackets are comfortable.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, yeah, yeah. I threw all my army stuff away. I kept a couple of odds and ends,
Yeah.
and then I picked up hiking, and I thought, well, hell,
Yeah.
now I got to buy all this junk, for
Yeah.
camping.
I didn't. I had like my sea bag was put together by the because I was out for a few years between active duty and reserves. I had a full sea bag when I went
Yeah,
back, um, and haven't thrown anything out this time around. Not sure if I will, but
yeah.
yeah, we're
I found.
worry about it later.
Got time for one more story?
Of course.
I was sitting on the edge of the drop zone, the leading edge, so the aircraft comes this way to drop paratroopers, right?
Yep.
And we were sitting up in here. We're supposed to be security on this drop zone. We didn't even know who the guys were that were jumping, right?
Yeah.
We were just kind of there. And we were watching them land, and so we were laughing because some are landing bad and some are landing good. And, we had a lot of fun. All of a sudden, whoa! something hits the ground right in front of me, and I just about shit my pants.
Oh yeah.
It was maybe 5 feet, and it was somebody's rucksack.
Oh shit.
And you have a lowering line that's supposed to hook on,
Uh-huh.
the operative freight being supposed, and the lowering line was still hooked to the rucksack, but apparently he had forgotten to hook the top part to his harness.
Oh no.
So it went through trees, so it didn't hit real hard. But that's why they tell you they want you to wear a helmet on drop zones in case you get hit by a rucksack. Like that's going to stop that
Eh,
45-pound dead weight. But
yeah,
still,
that's still gonna
oh,
actually load my
oh
spine and
yeah.
snap my neck, but
So we're sitting there and we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. These guys all do their thing and they get together and they walk over the edge of the drop zone. They get on trucks and they take off. And we're like,
nobody wants this rucksack.
okay. So I went out and I opened it up and I looked at it. And there was a couple of uniforms, a sleeping bag, all this army gear. None of them had name tags on. So I had no idea who it belonged to. So I got essentially a complete field issue from whoever that little angel up in heaven was that dropped that rucksack almost on my head.
Yeah.
That I carried around, and I'd go and I'd change stations, I'd replace stuff,
Yeah.
So I got always had good stuff in the rucksack, and
Oh,
that
that's
was my going to work bag.
yeah. There you go.
So it worked great, and then I pawned it when I got out like a fool, and I wish I hadn't, but
Well, you
such
know,
is life.
yeah, you learn, live and learn. As long as I have the storage space, I think I'll hang on to my uniforms. But
Yeah, you'll be surprised what will have meaning for you in 5 years,
yeah,
or 10 years, or 20 years.
yeah,
You'll be surprised. Yeah. And if you ever lose your job, you always got that stuff to pawn.
that's true.
So that's at least a case of beer. So
Well, and depending on my reentry code, I mean, I might just be able to jump right back in. I mean, who knows? But I think the economy's bad enough they can turn me down, perhaps.
who would do that?
Ah, it could.
Only a fool.
Well, it could happen. I'm old enough.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, awesome stories, and I appreciate you sharing your experience with everyone, and as well as with the advice, especially with the transition, invaluable because I mean, not only did you go through your own, but of course, working in the veteran center and everything else. I mean, you got
That's everybody else's. Yeah. The
yeah,
thing is, you're going to get out.
yep, you got to plan
And
for it.
right. And this is the real world. And
Yeah,
it's not nearly as much fun. And you don't do nearly as many cool things. But this is normal.
yes, yes, normal.
Struggle with it. We all do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's hey, adjustments are always uncomfortable. Not painful, but usually uncomfortable.
Well, not usually painful.
No,
Yeah.
but well, Roger, I sincerely appreciate it, and I'd love to have you on again in the future. Maybe we can cover a current events topic affecting the military. But
I would love to do that. Always a pleasure.
all right, have a
Congratulations on where you landed.
oh, thanks so much.
You've done well.